Recording. So, just about one of the simplest things you can do with an array is to write something that prints every element of it. But first we need the array. Let's work with integers yet again. Integer array A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Something like that. Recalling from yesterday. So, our first objective is to write a for loop which prints every element of the array in sequence. Remember that arrays use zero indexing. So the first element of the array this one is not index 1, it is index 0. The last element is the length of the array minus 1. So for turn you off. For integer I is equal to 0, semicolon. This is the initializer of the for loop. Next we have the condition of the for loop. We want to iterate over the entire array, so it will be while I or for I less than a dot length. Dot length is a property of arrays and other similar data structures, which gives you the length of the array. Note that we are saying less than and not less than equals. If we were to say less than equals, we would be ranging from 0 to 7, because the length of this array is 7. 7 is not a valid index. 6 is the largest possible index. So, to include the equal sign here would cause an array access violation. Depending on how strict your programming language is, that is either, we'll handle it, versus, this is a bug that ends your program. Versus the C approach, which is, we will read garbage memory and not even tell you, which is probably also the C++ approach. So, we want to increment I after every loop iteration. So far, so good? Now, to print every element of the array, it is very simple. You just console.write line A at I. The index is variable. It will iterate through A at 0, A at 1, A at 2, A at 3, etc., all the way to the end of the array. Make sense? Shall we execute? And there you have it. Numbers 1 through 7. Very good. Any questions? Okay. So, here's a slight adaptation which you can take on this program. We can have this as a formal problem. I think I'll write it on the computer. titled it the other way. Modify the above code such that only every third number is printed. Programming exercise, go for it. Only every third element of the array should be printed. I'll give you guys like 5-10 minutes. Sound reasonable? That sounds right, huh? But you can't know that until you actually run it. Try running it. Oh, there you go. So, here's a quick tip, right? The program, like the compiler, can't look ahead to when the program runs to see if you would have something out of range, right? It can't predict that. So, an index out of bounds range, or an index out of bounds error only occurs at runtime. So if you see it, it's not a syntax problem in the code. It's a problem, like it's a runtime problem. Pardon me, something in the code might be causing it, or it could just be an outdated version of the code that's been run. So, good. Good. So, yeah, that works. There's like there's a common like misinterpretation of this one.
Yeah, I was trying to think of if you were including that or not, like the first one, and I just, it's not what this remarks.
Yeah. So, for me, every third means like first, second, third, right? Fourth, fifth, sixth. In this case, it'll, like, because of the array that we have, it works out to be the same thing as what I think the common misconception is going to be, which is divisibility by 3, rather than every third element.
So what I have right now is 0, 3, 6. That counts.
Oh, yeah. All it would take is just like doing that +2 inside of your, that shifts at the offset. Yeah, good work. May I give you a hint? Oh, I'm sorry. So, you cannot legally place a statement there. It must come after the opening curly brace. I actually don't like this style of braces. The kind that I typically use in my own personal work is to put the opening brace on the same line, because they're not supposed to be anything between there. So, but the default for this editor is to put it on the next line, which personally I detest. Yeah, but you know, if you want to start a fight, start asking programmers about their favorite way of managing braces. I will accept that as being sufficient, correct? Not the most elegant solution I've seen, but it gets the job done. Now, like you've done, so while everybody else is working on that, you've done the 1st, the 4th, the 7th. Can you get it to be just the 3 and the 6? Right? So it's like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Yeah. But this is the approach. That's right, yeah. Just try playing with numbers. Are you feeling about it?
Really bad nausea my first trimester, and I'm just tired. Well, it doesn't help that right now I'm parenting full-time, school full-time, working part-time.
Yeah.
My mat leave is starting in like 2.5 weeks. So it'll be nice.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close.
Yeah. People say that's the hardest part of having, being like, having two under two or two around two is being part of the habit. So I'm just excited to not be anymore. My toddler was the easiest baby in the world, so through this process of thing, now he's a total menace, but he was great sleeper, great, like just super duper chill when he was a baby, no colic, nothing like that.
Yeah, that's a bit like our most recent one. He's so chill. It's fantastic.
Would warn you, the chillest baby, get ready for shitstorm that's gonna come when they turn one. Even before he could walk, he like did this like knee running thing. Like he didn't want, he could walk, but he didn't want to because he was faster on his knees. And he would sprint around the room on his knees because it hurt and get everything he could.
I mean, I guess because he just weighs so much less, maybe, like, he can absorb that kind of weight.
Yeah, they don't, have all the aches and freaks of getting older, but I mean, whereas my stepson and his father and I started dating when he was 1.
Mm.
So I missed the newborn phase, but I saw every other phase, like I did the potty training and everything like that. And apparently he was like a very colicky newborn. So like my boyfriend already suffered, so hopefully we don't have to do that anymore. But he was
Fingers crossed.
a saint of a toddler. Like just so chill, very good, but he's still a very good listener now. Like very, very different from our 2-year-old.
Yeah, on our first, the mistake that we made was like giving him like the baby food that they sell in the store.
Oh yeah, we did baby. My stepson got spoon fed. He still would get me spoon fed if he could. He's
Yeah.
6 and he would still get spoon fed.
Oh yeah.
My 2-year-old, I knew the mistake that like obviously I was his stepmom, so I wasn't like,
There's
probably
only
not.
so far you
Yeah,
can go.
exactly. Now, like,
Mm.
I have more authority, but when we first started dating and he was first being introduced to solids, I had no authority.
Mm.
But I knew at 6 months with my 2-year-old, I was like, no, baby led weaning. I did not do a single puree. Like, the closest thing I did is the first food I introduced was baby cereal, just so we could get an idea of how food actually works.
Mhm.
But beyond that, it was all baby led weaning, and he's phenomenal. And we've never had a choking incident, nothing, except for when he shoved a toy in his mouth that was like this big.
Oh yeah.
It was like he was a big pot maker, and he shook one of the pots.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, but other than that, never had any issues. People see him, they like get scared. I'm like, don't worry, he knows what he's doing. He's probably better at eating
been
than I am.
trained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like we started baby led with our second, and like the difference is like she's just gonna be turning 2 at the end of the month, so like pickiness has started to set in.
That same too is it's really a switch.
Yeah, I heard an interesting thing about this actually, is that like from a evolutionary psychology perspective,
The goodness of vegetables and poisons and stuff like that.
yeah, it's the point at which they start being able enough to like leave the cave and like explore the outside, and like they start to have the problem like if you eat a berry it can kill you,
Yeah.
right?
But like the exposure is key for pickiness. So like even though my 2-year-old's starting to get picky, like I'll give him one thing one time he doesn't want to eat it. You give it to him the same thing a couple hours later the next day and he eats it just fine.
Yeah.
With my stepson, he's a very picky eater right now. And it was like if he didn't like something, they just stopped giving it to him.
Yeah.
So like now he's a chicken nugget child.
Yeah, that's our first, unfortunately. Like we try so hard, but
Parenting is, it's trial and failure, and you gotta figure it out as you go. No matter how much research you do, there's no way to know for sure what's gonna work.
the best we can do is like slowly try to add a new food to the set.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's interesting, like we had soup, right, with like potatoes and meat in it and stuff. And it's like, he likes the broth, but he won't eat the potato, but he'll eat potato if it's on its
And
own.
my stepson hates
Yeah.
mashed potatoes, but he loves chips and he loves french fries. I'm like, it's the same thing.
It's the salt.
Same thing. And
Yeah.
who doesn't like mashed potatoes?
You'd think it'd be a quintessential kid food, you know? Goodness me. All right, so, would you like to see a solution? How many people are still working on it? Guys, yeah, you need another minute or so?
I don't know. I'm a bit lost.
Okay. All right, so there are several valid approaches. So once you get to doing anything in computer programming that's like an actual real problem, and we are nowhere near that yet, you can make a large number of very small decisions about the way that the logic works that results in very different programs that all do the same thing. There is not one way to code. There are 10 million ways to code. Over time, as you become better and better at coding, you will say, oh, it's a little more efficient if I do this. Oh, it's a little more efficient if I do that. And over time, your coding style will sort of converge on other more experienced coders. So it's kind of this problem where you have like 10,000 beginners, but only 3, ace programmers, right? Or at least 3 ace programmer coding styles. But like, well, to be honest, it's actually, you're probably more at the stage where like, your code might actually be more similar to your friend's code at this stage because you're at such an early level in it, right? You'll sort of, as you learn coding, your style will expand and then it will sort of be honed into a more consistent style. But for this one, there are a few different approaches, all valid. Basically everything is valid so long as it picks the right numbers out of the array. So let's see one that involves modifying the loop itself. So if we want to pick out every third element, note every third element, not every element divisible by 3. In this particular case, those are the same, but that's not necessarily the case, right? You can quite easily modify the modify the manner in which the loop variable is modified. You can change this from a plus plus to a plus equals 3, and that will automatically skip 2 elements every time. From here, all you have to determine is which one you want to start with. So as written, this will give you 147, right? The thing I had in my mind with this question was I wanted you to pick out 3 and 6, like those are the third elements, right? Element 1, element 2, element 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So to do that, all you have to do is change the offset like that. Int I is equal to 2. So you start counting at the third element, you jump by 3 each time, and if we run this, if I just, let me just put a separator in here. You get elements 3 and 6. So, as solutions go, I would consider this an efficient solution because you're skipping, like you're simply not executing many loop iterations, right? So let's look at a slightly different take on it. Something that you might do if you were a fan of if statements. So for fans of if statements, you might do something like test to see if the index is divisible by 3. So if I mod 3 is equal to 0, if I mod 3 is equal to 0, then the index is perfectly divisible by 3, which means that it is one of these third elements, right? Now, if we run that, you can see we get 147 again. So if you want to shift which elements are being picked out, you can very simply either modify this 0 to a 1 or a 2, for example, a 2, or you can add something on the other side. In this sense, it is quite like an algebraic equation. If you add a number to one side of the quality, it's the same as subtracting it from the other side. right? So, there you got 3 and 6. Make sense? Sound good? All good. So, now, it doesn't matter which of these variants you pick. I'm going to keep the first one on screen, or no, I'm going to keep the second one on screen. There we go. New question. Modify the above code such that we take the sum of every third item in the array. There we go. So we want not only, we don't want to just print them anymore, we want to calculate the sum. We want to add them all up. Okay? So, get to it. I'll give you guys another 5 or 10 minutes. of course, for an arbitrarily large array. Looks like you guys need a hint. I will give you a hint. I think you will agree that is a pretty good hint. Only if you put it in the right place though. If you initialize it inside the loop, then every time the loop runs, it will reinitialize it, blowing out any calculations that you've been making. You guys? I would put the console right. It's like the sum is the final result.
Oh, yeah. I have it, I mean, I would have a larger array, and just be showing you everything as well.
Yep, it works. The red underline,
It says, there's some
it's, well, it says the left-hand side of an assignment must be a variable, property, or indexer. So this is not a variable, this is an expression, right? So basically you have to pick one. You're either assigning to sum or you're assigning to I, right? That is the error. Does that make sense? That's a different error. I just delete the comma. It helps to print the sum after the loop to see what the sum was. Okay, hint number 2. That'll be helpful, right? From here, the solution is only 12 characters away. So very close. Very, very close. Yes! High five. Good job. Does everybody else want a little bit more time to crunch on this one? No? Ready for the solution? So, sum is a variable. Variables can be used to keep track of numbers. The number that we are keeping track of here is a running sum of all of the elements in the array, which we are in fact printing here. So, all we need to do inside of the if statement, sum, whoa, get out of here. Sum is equal to sum plus a at I. This can be abbreviated sum plus equals a at I. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 characters. This way, as we iterate through the loop, if our index is mod 3 is equal to 2, that is element 2, element 5, etc., we enter the if statement. Sum is updated. You add the value of AI to sum, and then you store it back in sum. And then, of course, actually this print line no longer really has any applicability here. And then, at the end, we write the sum. Make sense? So far, so good? Any questions? Okay. Let's see, I can't really do another one of these in the last 5 minutes of class. Does anybody have any questions? That'll take 5 minutes. I guess I'll dismiss class a little early then. Good work today, kids. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. I'll put the code up on